Hey guys, continuing in the line of the AMT Star Trek USS Enterprise model ship kits, well, motion picture related anyway, I present to you the Star Trek 3 version of the USS Enterprise. This one was, of course, featured in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. And comparing it to the last release, you can see by the box art that it's still using the painting from the original, from the Star Trek the motion picture release. You can see it still has the rainbow decals, but they're started to do a subtle difference. Like you could see the photoshopping of the glow from the saucer sections. If I show you the last release from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, you can see the glow. You remember in Star Trek the motion picture release, it was lit. The primary hull was lit up, so that's why they are focusing on illuminating the windows. But in Star Trek 3, as with Star Trek 2, the release, there was no electronics, but they removed the glow from the windows. There's no stars in the background. You could see on the Wrath of Khan release, there was stars and almost like the Mutara Nebula. But on the Star Trek 3 release, it's just a black box. The features are still over 22 inches long assembled, display stand included, and it is still the same stand. The release of the Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and the Star Trek the motion picture release moved all the way up to the Star Trek III, The Search for Spock release of the stand. And this also has the authentic decals. I apologize for the siren, there's a fire truck going by. And the authentic decals. Again, in the last release of this kit, they removed the rub-down transfer stickers and they moved them to water slides. And this one is no different. This one has the water slides. A little bit more in the box art. If this is starting to look familiar, you can see because this is from the Star Trek the motion picture release. It's still lit. It has the rub-down transfers, the rainbow decals. Not the rub-down, I'm sorry, this peel and stick. It shows you the suspend in space, and it shows you the illustration of the stand. Moving across, you see Star Trek III, the USS Enterprise, AMT stock number S970, but ERTL stock number 6675. The other side will show you the same finished model pictures that we've seen in the previous two releases. Star Trek III, the USS Enterprise. This is a 1984 release. I'll show you the date right there. Again, you have Admiral Kirk. Now, like I did with the Wrath of Khan release, I'm going to show you the differences. I'm going to put the Wrath of Khan release on top, and the Search for Spock release will be on the bottom, and I'll show you the similarities and differences. You can see the finished models remain the same, and even the pictures of Admiral Kirk remain the same. It's a little bit maybe Photoshop touched up a little bit. I get them both in the shot for you. I'm spinning it around. Really, the only differences are the title. You can see the Wrath of Khan, and it has the new on it, whereas the Star Trek 3 doesn't. Also, in the Star Trek II release, it says Star Trek The Wrath of Khan USS Enterprise. On this release, it just says Star Trek 3 USS Enterprise. And the title of the movie is not listed on the front of the box. Actually, it's not listed anywhere on the box, the title of the movie. So, I don't know when they started planning the kit, if they had not settled on a title for the movie yet. because the movie came out in 1984, and as you could see, the release date, the official release date on the kit, 1984. So maybe the kit came out first and predated the movie. Anyway, it's the Star Trek III USS Enterprise, and the Star Trek III: The Search for Spock, there were a couple of really good model kits that came from that film. Of course, the Enterprise. Most recently, Polar Lights has done the USS Grissom, the research vessel, that was destroyed by Commander Krug, and the Klingon bird of prey, which is another model. Actually, they're both included in the same kit. I believe it's a 1/1000 kit from Polar Lights, the Grissom and the Klingon bird of prey. There's the Enterprise that I said. There's the Excelsior. Excuse me, the Excelsior. Those model kits. And Diamond Select has come out with a few really nice items based on that movie. And I just happen to have a few here. This is the Diamond Select USS Excelsior. It's a nice big ship. But I don't know about you, but when they were all showing off and the captain was all smug about using the transwarp drive, and the Enterprise went into warp, and Mr. Scott had sabotaged the engine on the Excelsior, and it just kind of stalled out in space. Yeah, I thought that was amusing. Anyway, this is the USS Excelsior, later to be commanded by Captain Sulu. And I've done a video on this already, if you want to check that out, on the demonstration and what it does and how it looks all together. But this is the USS Excelsior from Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. Another one from Diamond Select is what I was speaking about, the Klingon bird of prey. Let me put that over there for you because the box is kind of big and awkward. Like the Klingon bird of prey. And this would actually go through a lot. Remember, the Enterprise would fire on it with a photon torpedo hit at the beginning when they made contact. Eventually, the captain, Admiral Kirk, would end up claiming the ship. And this ship actually would go back to Earth. And during a Star Trek where the probe was coming from outer space searching the ocean for the whales, they actually had to go back in time to get humpback whales. And it was that ship that went back in time. It was the Klingon ship, the Klingon bird of prey. So this ship has been through a lot, and it's when they get back after the ship is in the ocean and they go for reassignment that they are introduced to their next assignment, which is the USS Enterprise NCC-1701A. But that's another video, and just showing you the different things that came from Star Trek III: The Search for Spock, the Diamond Select, Starship Legends. One final thing I got to show you from The Search for Spock. This is kind of a sad one, so brace yourselves. This is the Starship Legends Final Flight USS Enterprise, and it's heartbreaking to see her as she burns up into the atmosphere. And there's a picture on the back of the friction from the atmosphere against her hull, which just burns her up, and eventually she's just a ball of flame. What a way for her to go. Such a prestigious vehicle. Anyway, like I said with the others, I've done videos on this featuring only this ship, and you can check it out if you want. But that's the Final Flight Enterprise from Diamond Select. And getting back to the AMT ERTL Search for Spock USS Enterprise kit. Not much has changed. And incidentally, this is the final kit from AMT for the motion pictures anyway. That's going to feature the original Enterprise, the refit. When they move on to Star Trek 4, it's going to be the A that they're introduced to. So this is the final release that's going to feature the actual Enterprise herself, and not the A. But you can see a lot of this is the same. A lot of the art, box art, and some of the plastic moldings will change in the next release, Star Trek 4, but that's another video. With this kit, a lot of it is the same. Basically what they did was the motion picture release. All the way it was made, the molding. The only thing that really changed through the release of the next two kits are the stickers, or the decals, the electronics. Well, that's about it. Basically, the molded plastic pieces are the same, right down to the base. And the base eventually will change over with the A. But, like I said, that's another video. This is the Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, USS Enterprise. And you can see subtle differences, like if you're looking at each box over time, and you see each box individually. You know, you look at the cover and you say, oh yeah, they're all alike. But I'm going to put up a picture of one single frame with the first three movies, all of them in the shot. And you can see like subtle differences. The shading in the ship, for one. The background, there's no stars on this one. The glow coming from the windows, just certain little subtle things, and I'm going to throw that up for you to see it. So just so you can see them all in succession and just see the subtle differences on all the boxes. Anyway, that is the AMT ERTL. Incidentally, I don't know if I had, this is kit number 6675. And this part of the box is a little smashed up, but kit number 6675, 1984 release from the film Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. And that's the final movie that has the Enterprise in it, the refit, as it comes to a violent end. And after this one, we'll move on to the next one in the series, which would be Star Trek 4. But this video is for Star Trek 3, the USS Enterprise, AMT ERTL. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy my videos, and I'll see you next time.